Should I run Google ads or Facebook ads? 3 times improvement on your current conversion rate. How much should a small business be prepared to spend? So that is a really, really good one to have a look at. That's how I learn. Look at me now. Should I run Google Shopping ads or PMax? Hi, I'm Abby, and I'm here to answer some of your Google ads questions. Let's take a look at what people have been asking on Reddit. So how much should a small business starting out be prepared to spend before seeing some results? This is a really broad question because you can sometimes get some small businesses who will start running their ads and they may start to see results within a few days, or it may be a few weeks or even a few months before you start to see results. Typically, we would advise at least sort of an initial 2-week learning period for any campaigns that you do launch, followed by at least a couple more weeks worth of testing. But it will depend on your business, like in terms of seasonality wise, like are you starting to launch at peak season? If you're launching in Q4, you're going to have usually way better results than say if you were launching in Q1. So it can just depend on sometimes where you are starting to launch your ads campaign in the year. But we would always say at least try and give it as long as possible, but at least a few months, maybe. That went on a bit. We've been trying out PMax for almost 4 months now. This user has shopping feeds, a couple of asset groups, pictures, so it sounds like they've got all the creative assets and then also audience signals set up, which is great. They are raising a concern that their cost per conversion has tripled since they've moved away from smart shopping campaigns over to Performance Max, which understandably they're disappointed with. I would say with Performance Max, you are opening up to a few more different channels and networks than you initially had available to you on smart shopping. If things like your average cost per click have increased and your cost per conversion has increased alongside that, what I would potentially be looking at first of all is, are you getting more search-related queries through your campaign than previously? Because obviously with smart shopping, you wouldn't have had those search queries. Search campaigns do tend to have a slightly higher average cost per click than you would see across shopping, display, discovery, or even video, which are also included in PMax. So I would maybe take a look at your Insights tab, have a review of the search terms that currently Google is making you appear for, and it might be worth just adjusting your audience signals even more and adding in a few maybe like for like websites that are similar to sort of product, or even the type of user or the type of websites that your ideal customer would also browse on, because that can sometimes help with the targeting as well. Now let's have a look at Quora for some more questions. What data should I be looking at in Google Analytics in order to improve my website? Great question. There's loads of great data that you can have a look at in analytics that can help improve your website user experience. Some of the best ones to have a look at are things like your bounce rate. So is your bounce rate really, really high, like 60, 70% for like direct and organic traffic? That may mean that people are coming onto your website, leaving the website really quickly, and not actually engaging with any of the content on the page. You can also look at things like average session duration, the average number of pages that users will use whenever they go onto your website, because that can also be a really great indicator of, again, that people just aren't having a good user experience. A few other things that you can look at, so say for example your bounce rate actually looks quite good on average and your average session duration isn't too bad, you may want to drill down into specific either like product pages and specific like product URLs, because you may find that some of your product pages are actually causing a bit of an issue, and again, people just aren't liking the experience and so they're not purchasing. Something else that is really, really helpful is if you can set up a site search report within Google Analytics. So what this does is it gathers all of the data from people using the search bar on your website and lists exactly what they've typed into that search bar. What I would recommend is for any of the terms that are like coming up again and again and again, go to your website, do that search yourself and see what products return, because the amount of websites that we come across as a business that just don't have adequate or proper tagging set up on the website is a ridiculous number, and it can be a massive barrier to entry. Loads of people always think that not that many people use website site search, but they really, really do, and it's something ridiculous. Like if you make that user journey and user experience better, it can sometimes have like a 3 times improvement on what your current conversion rate is. So that is a really, really good one to have a look at. How can I learn Google Ads? Well, we've got some great videos on the rest of our channel if you want to learn more about Google Ads. But ultimately, I would say it's a trial and error process. You just really need to keep up to date with the data that you're seeing in analytics or that you're seeing in the ads account. But there's some great resources online. You've got Skillshop, which is a free resource from Google that gives you some really great background information on all of their different campaign types and on analytics. And yes, some really great content on YouTube, as I said. Trial and error. Trial and error, basically. That's how I learnt. Look at me now. Should I run Google Shopping ads or PMax or both? If you're just starting out with a new ads account, I would recommend going for a standard shopping campaign first of all, particularly if you don't have loads of budget, simply because Performance Max campaigns typically work best when you've got quite a bit of conversion data already. So Google recommends between 30 to 50 transaction conversions per month. I'm sure it's around similar figures for lead generation conversions as well. I would recommend starting out with standard shopping just so you can experiment with like device targeting, ad schedule targeting, and have a bit more control over the budget, and then sort of upgrade to Performance Max once you've got that conversion data. But with a really established account, you may have a separate search, shopping, Performance Max, video display, discovery, and it will just depend on kind of which products, which areas they're all sort of targeting. But with a new account, I'd probably say standard shopping and then upgrade to Performance Max once you've got enough data. My colleague Chris has also done a video on that exact topic. So if you want to have a look and learn more about that, you can find that here. Let's have a look at some more questions that we've got on Facebook. I hate Performance Max's auto-generated assets. Should I still create a PMax campaign? If this user is referring to the video assets, I wholeheartedly agree. They are awful. But more recently, Google has updated some of the creative assets and how you can actually change those. And video assets was one of the ones that you can change. They're still not great, but instead of like the weird grey floaty slideshow with like heavy rock music in the background, you can actually change it from that, which is good. And you can select like your brand colorings, add in your own text and add in your own image content on certain slides. So there is a bit more that you can do with those video assets now than you used to be able to. I would still say that it is worth trialing a Performance Max campaign because you can still get some really good results off it without having great assets. It just will probably mean that things like your click-through rate are affected because people are going to be less likely to click on an ad that doesn't look as nice. But we still get some clients coming through who have, not updated their assets or have some poor quality assets in place, and they're still seeing pretty good results coming through. So I would say it's still worth it for the experimentation. Just maybe don't put a massive budget into it and just keep a really close eye on your engagement levels. Should I run Google ads or Facebook ads? So this is a question that we get quite a lot. Clients are always asking us, should I be spending money on social or should I be spending it on Google? My answer is ideally, if you have the budget for both, you should be spending it on both. Google ads and Facebook ads work together. Google is a bit more of something that we'd refer to as like pull marketing. So people will go to Google with an idea of what they're searching for. So we're just plonking an ad in front of, what they're already searching for, so it's a little bit easier. Whereas Facebook and social ads can be a bit more of push marketing. So, you're putting things that people may be interested in front of them, but they may not be quite at the position to purchase. But having those two aspects of marketing working together, you're way more likely to get someone to convert than if you only had sort of one in place. So I would say ideally both if you've got the budget for it. Plus you can get some really nice creative assets on social, so you can really show that off. So particularly if you've got like a clothing brand, that's always really nice on social because people can then sort of envision themselves in the clothing, which is a little bit better than on Google where you don't have as many creative assets that you have access to. So Shopify is telling me I'm making less money from Google Ads than Google Ads says. Which should I trust? Again, another really great question because, yeah, there's always a big discrepancy between like what Shopify says is coming through from your marketing and then what Google Ads or Google Analytics will say. It is really frustrating, but I would tend to trust the channel that you're kind of reviewing. So, for example, for Google, trust Google Analytics for the stats that you're getting from Google. If you're advertising on Microsoft Ads, trust Microsoft Ads. And if you're advertising on Facebook, trust Meta Business Suite and Ads Manager for those stats. The reason is because none of these companies actually share data with one another, and so don't have a true reflection of what the other channels are actually doing in the background. And they all tend to, give themselves a few more conversions or say that they're having more of an impact than the rest. There are some third-party platforms that you can use that sort of incorporates all that data together. But again, a lot of that is based off just where the bulk of your impressions are coming through from. So I would say look in each different analytics or ads account for that data, and you just have to kind of use an overall figure from that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about Google or just, digital marketing strategy in general, leave a comment in the box below and you may be featured in one of our next videos.